Welcome to Education in a Time of War. Today, I'm Rachel Raz, and today with me, Raz Wasserstein. Raz is the founder and the CEO of Remini, which is a platform engaging, managing preschools and school camps. And I actually met Raz when it was the beginning of this endeavor with this platform and software many years ago in the United States. And today, Raz, because of this platform, has access and work with many preschools and schools in Israel and around the globe. And he has a very interesting perspective about early childhood education. And I asked Raz to join us and share with us a little bit about what's going on in Israel in a time of war. He's joining us from Tel Aviv, and in particular, some of the inspiring initiatives that are taking place. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, I created the Education in Time of War for a couple of reasons. First of all, to share our passion and care for children and how education is very important all year long, but also in a time of crisis, in time of war. This is also, I started it after October 7, 2023, with the beginning of the war in Israel, when the Hamas terrorist group attacked Israel brutally and killed many and kidnapped hundreds of people. And since then, we are 3 months after that. Now it's January 2024, and the war is still taking place, and it's still impacting children in the country. So, Raz, thank you very much for joining us. And maybe you can share with us for a few minutes.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. It's nighttime for you in Tel Aviv, and I'm delighted that you can tell us from what's happening on the ground. And I know that you visited many of the preschool. You talked to lots of people. You did lots of research to understand the situation, and I think it will be beneficial for people to learn from you. The goal also that we can hopefully learn some best practices, what to do in time of a crisis, not just in war, but when there is like a pandemic, when there is a natural disaster, when kids are displaced or they're under severe circumstances, and what we can learn from some of these initiatives. So I hope that it will be also helpful and enlightening for people that are listening to us. So, Raz, let's say maybe you can give us a little overview. Preschools, little kids going to preschools in Israel. There are many children. When the war started, I know that many of the preschool couldn't function. They were closed. Later on, some of them open. Maybe you can share with us what's the system, what's going on. Who is in charge of opening, closing, where we are now 3 months into the war in Israel?
So that's a great question. Thank you. And it is an interesting question. So who is open, who is closed, and who is controlling who is closed and who is not? So first, it is important to know that since October 7th, due to the situation, due to the war, it was declared a special situation in Israel, and there is a command in the army which is called Home Front Command, and the Home Front Command controls how civilians and authorities should react. So just for you to understand, like in a normal situation, the DOE like basically instruct when there are preschools, when there are not, when schools or preschools are open, when are not. Now it's Home Front Command, and Home Front Command has guidelines who can open a preschool at this time, who cannot, and who can with specific limitations. So, and it's those guidelines are dynamic, are changing based on how they evaluate the risk at that moment, okay? And it's also different between different parts in Israel. So, for instance, near the Gaza area, okay, or up north in Israel, it's more dangerous. So the guidelines is there are no preschools in this area. So the preschools in those areas still now are closed, okay? The other preschools, it really depends on the locations. What does it mean? It means that in some areas, still Homefront Command says, you know what, you can open a preschool, however, you can do it with certain limitations. Now ask me, what are the limitations? The limitations, currently rockets are thrown at us, for example, from Gaza area. So, and when rockets are thrown at us, there are sirens which alerts us, and we have like specific time to reach a safe room or a shelter. So a home front command guideline to the preschool, they would tell the preschools, you can open the preschool, however, you need to make sure that the children can go to a safe place, a shelter, during X amount of seconds after you hear the siren. So they will be safe. So a preschool now in Israel needs to decide, hey, I have 70 children. If a siren happens, can I bring the children to a safe place under X amount of seconds? And this X also changes between the areas in Israel. If it's closer to Gaza area, it will be like 30 seconds. If it's less close in Tel Aviv or Netanya, it's 90 seconds, okay? So a preschool must think, can I get those children? So a lot of babies classes are not open. Why? Because it's harder to take the babies, okay? So the preschools need to first understand, can I do it? Can't I do it? How many seconds or how many children can I have them switch to a shelter, okay, at a designated time? And then each school is making its decision based on it, okay?
And I know that some school limited, for example, only half of the kids come because this is the space that they have. In few days a week, only half of the class is coming, and the other few days, the other half of the class is coming.
You're correct, and I want to also elaborate. There are schools that are saying, you know what, because children are sleeping at noon, or so they're saying, okay, so a lot of schools are telling the parents, you know what, you can come till noon. Why? Because at noon there is a specific place in the shelter for children to sleep, and the people who are sleeping, they will not like wake them up and bring them in a timely manner. So we are trying to from noon we are trying to have all the children that can sleep in the shelter stay in the preschool, and if not, please take them home, okay? The other parents, please take them home. So this is another thing. This is like another consideration that is happening. Many schools also have parents, like additional parents, instead of working from their workplace or home, they're coming and working from the preschool. Why? So they will have more hands if there is a siren to take and to help with the children getting them to the shelter, to the safe place. Now, I want to ask you, what happens if a school doesn't have a shelter or a safe place? So also it depends where in Israel, but in many scenarios, what's happening currently is that they are trying to create, I would say, initiative solutions or creative solutions for that situation. So a preschool, for example, would ask the parents, hey, dear parents, do you have maybe in your house a shelter? And then maybe we'll split the preschool to multiple classes. Each class will go and have the class at one of the parents' apartments or houses, okay? That's a solution. Many preschools also relocated to like shelters, to like neighborhood shelters, okay?
So there's lots of creativity, and because the focus is how do we continue some kind of normal life. How can we invest in the safety of the children and their growth, but within this unusual situation. So there's lots of creativity. There's no one solution that fits all. Everyone is very individualistic and need to be evaluated based on the place and the location in the map, you know, and the risk, but also what's available for them. This is very interesting. And I know, Raz, that when you visited, you also saw lots of beautiful initiatives, some of them by different organizations and citizens. Do you want to share with us some of them?
Yeah, so I'll share some. I'll tell you what I really like and what I saw here. It's amazing things, and I'll tell you why I really like it, because when a crisis happens, you can also like sit and wait for the government to do it, and the government has bureaucracy and procedures and things like that. And you can go and like blame, okay, they are not good. And there are people who are taking matters to their own hands, volunteers, us, the people are going. And of course, also the government is not prepared. So there are like volunteers organizations who are saying, you know what the government is not doing, we will do. We will fill the gap now. So I'll share with you some amazing examples. So what's happening is that during the war, a lot of people had to be displaced from their house. And I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of people. So the people in the Gaza area and the people in the north. Now there is a question, where they are displaced to? So they are displaced to places where there are hotels, okay? So when you have a big concentration of hotels. So for example, we have a city in the south of Israel called Eilat. Eilat has usually 60,000 people. Now it has 120,000 people. So you can imagine there are no preschools or like or schools that for that kind of a population. So for all the displaced people, what they're trying to do, the first thing that they're trying to do is fill existing classes. What does it mean? You have a class, it's not full first, or it can be more full during this situation. You bring more people to this, more children to that class. That's the first thing that they do. However, there are classes that are already full of capacity, and then what happens is that they create new preschools. And we call it like a pop-up preschool, okay? And pop-up preschools are usually created in the hotels of the population, basically, of the evicted population, and I'll share with you like more information here. I'll share with you also the story of Kibbutz Be'eri, and I can share with you also like another story after.
Kibbutz Be'eri is one of the kibbutzim that were in the border of Gaza, that actually many of their members were killed and murdered during that day. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about that and where the member of this kibbutz moved.
So the members of this kibbutz moved on October 7th, October 8th, to a hotel in the Dead Sea. Dead Sea is an area in Israel which is not populated. Or you have like several, like you have hotels there and several small villages, kibbutzim. So on October 8th, a sister named Inbal of one of the people from Kibbutz Be'eri came to visit her sister in the hotel. And like Rachel is saying, she saw a broken community. A lot of people were murdered, a lot of people were hostages, people were in shock. She tried to think, what can I do to help? And she understood that she would like to have some kind of an arrangement, a system for the children. And I would just say that after less than a week, she created the 6 identical preschools of Kibbutz Be'eri in hotels in the Dead Sea area. So in the hotel, so you can see here, you see the library of the preschool, and you can see at the back the swimming pool. Here you can see it's like a fence, which the preschools are in a corridor of the hotel. So they put a fence. Here is one preschool. Here is another preschool. They didn't have enough places in the hotel, so they brought tents with air condition. Here is a preschool and created preschools, as you can see here. And then there is also, and I'll tell you, there is not also preschool teachers in this area because this area is not populated. So I spoke with a person actually that was responsible to recruit the personnel to this area. And she told me that people came, preschool teachers retired, even like young ones left their house, came to be a preschool teacher in the Dead Sea Hotel. Okay, they left their house to be. And do you know how much money she promised them?
0.
You're correct. She told them, I cannot promise you money. I don't have money. And people came from all of Israel to be preschool teachers in the Dead Sea Hotel.
I remember that I saw the advertisement for that, and I have some friends that actually went and worked there and volunteered. So because people felt that that this community is, as you mentioned, so broken, that went through horrible, horrific time and still going through that, and everybody wanted to see what they can do and how to help them.
I think that what I really like, it's not only the preschool thing. I think that people are stepping up, and each one is trying to do whatever they can in order to support to support it. And even like even if I can say like several more words about the pop-up preschools that are created. So I gave you an example. However, there is like a team of that is responsible. They're all volunteers, and basically they are creating the pop-up preschools. And I'll be honest with you, they are creating not just regular preschools for displaced communities, they are creating top-notch preschools, and I'll tell you how they do it. The first thing, I'll tell you how this process works. The first thing, the displaced community, because they are starting to get known, the displaced community is telling them, I need a preschool, okay? The volunteers are coming to the hotel and negotiating with the hotel owner regarding it, okay? And what do I mean negotiate? There are hotels who are saying, it's a hotel owner, I don't want your preschool. No. Or there is a hotel owner who say, put this. What they're trying to do is they're trying to evaluate how many children do you have, how many children are supposed to be here, locate specific areas that the hotel owner agrees, but it's also suitable for a preschool in that size. After they are doing that, they take pictures of the place, measure this place, and take it to a volunteer architect that will manage this project, okay? The volunteer architect will create a design of all the classes of the preschools in this hotel, okay? With the help of top pedagogy people in Israel, also volunteer to tell what centers each room needs based on the age groups, okay? Then they order the materials, okay, all donations, and then we are coming and going and creating these preschools. The whole process that I just described is less than a week from start to finish. And I joined, I don't know if you'd like to see it, but I joined one of the days and I can show
Yes,
you the
please.
photos of
Yeah.
videos of how basically even like how it happened. Would you like to see it? Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. So I'll just share it. So I'll share my screen so you can see, and I'll go over with you about specific things, which is absolutely beautiful. Give me 1 second. Sorry, share. I'm just sharing that. Share. Great. I'll make it larger so you can see. Okay, so we started the day. I'll just do it without sound, so it will be easier for you to see. We started the day of creating the preschools by sorting out equipment. Why did we sort out equipment? Because multiple pop-up preschools are created at the same day at different locations. I was assigned to create preschools in a resort place called Ma'agan near the Kinneret, but we had to sort those things. You see here is like pictures and videos of like sorting the equipment. They are super organized. So if you can see here, do you see like they have like it's in Hebrew, but there is a huge Excel
Spreadsheet. Yeah, like
spreadsheet
spreadsheet. Yeah.
which basically says, which tells you which equipment, what is the quantity, and to which preschool, to which class it should go to. And then we sort it out. And then here is the team of the preschool. This is actually, it's also a part of their amazing organization. This is not Tishbi. She's a famous a celebrity person. She came also she came suddenly, but she didn't came by coincidence. She came in order to she came with a camera. If you see, they video her, and then she uploads it to raise donations for it. Okay, so they can have the money to buy equipment. And then here it says, it was just moving for me, so I wanted like to share this picture. It says in Hebrew, Hagan shelachem patuach, which in English means your preschool is now open, and indeed, we started in the morning, finished in the evening, and the next day in the morning, it was already opened. And here we sort out like equipment. Here is a truck with also equipment brought to the resort. Here is like you can see the resort place. Here is like the equipment you see brought to the resort place. This is amazing. I have to show you that. This is one of the classes, what it looked like before. I will soon show you the after, but this is the class before, okay? What it looked like. And then we have here equipment. This is the design of the class. This is me actually. I was responsible for the elevator to bring things up and down because the preschool is multiple floors, the rooms were. And here is like the preparation work, as you can see. This is actually the Camila. She's a lovely preschool teacher that is going to be there. I'm showing you preparation work in multiple classes. We are building so many instruments and so many things. Do you see? She's building that. I was also building a stroller. She's building here a desk. Fixing building here. Do you see? This is like a part of creating it, and here is like also like the final like stages, and you can see it. And here I'll just show a video at the end of here. This is like the final stages, and here is this video. It's amazing. I'll show you. This is the after video. This is the same class that I showed you before. At the end of the day, after several hours, look at it. They thought about everything, even like about like the wallpapers. It's amazing, amazing. And I'll tell you the best part actually of my day there. You know, so I'll stop share. The best part for me was when we finished, several parents with their children, not all of them came just to see it. They were amazed. Seeing their faces meant everything.
Yeah.
And so there are really beautiful things happening in Israel, and this initiative is amazing. It's called Brothers and Sisters for Israel, and also it was established at the day that the war started. So you can understand
It's
how
amazing.
quick it
Now
is.
it's look now it sounds like they have a system, they have everything. I'm sure that in the beginning when it just started, it was like this sister that came and what can we do and inviting few people, but then they realized that they need to upscale it and it's something bigger. It's not like one place, it's not like one city, it's not a small community. As you mentioned, it's talking about thousands of people and it's much bigger scale. And 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 I would like to return, to the beginning, Raz, when I said I'm interviewing because many people don't hear in the news about all of these displaced families and children. They don't hear about their needs, the needs of the children, because lots of people are taking care of that. And sometimes we hear about something when it's only bad news, when terrible things are happening or not taking place. So it's not. So I want to bring this to the world, and again to bring this. If there's an earthquake somewhere, a tsunami, or anything else, from the local people to come and say, there are children. What can we do for the children? Do we have preschool teachers and architects in our community? Can we utilize our community and not just to wait some time in the United States, like to FEMA or to some other organization, but for people to take the initiative? And we all went through COVID recently with all of the terrible things that went with that. In America, we had like through September 11 in 2001. It's not the first or last time children and communities are under I would say abnormal kind of situation. Is there anything else, Raz, that you want to share? I know that you share with me also a list from your mother. So your mother is a preschool teacher. Can you tell me something about her?
So my mother, I'll tell about. So my mother is also, she's not a preschool teacher. She's my mother. She's an orthodontist. She's a dentist. However, she volunteers as well, and she got like how preschools are created and things like that. So she volunteers. And one of the things that she's doing is here. Like they were creating the preschools, and I was telling Rachel, okay, so how they're creating the preschools from now to now. So this is like a chat she got. It says it's in Hebrew, but I'll translate. It says, "Good evening. We're creating like 4 new preschools in the Dead Sea area. We need 3 kitchen tables, 16 basket, tata, like trash cans, things like that. Bring it." And this is how they create a preschool. And if I can say also like nice things about my mother, first, she's my mother, but I want to say that also like people are stepping up. My mother, she's 65 years old. As I told you, she is like a dentist professor in the university. She teaches new people to be orthodontists. Um, she lives in Modi'in, and from October 7th, she volunteers to guard there. So she's guarding in Modi'in. She has shifts, all volunteer. Okay. My father, he's working in a power station, and the guards in the power station, most of them had to go to reserve. Okay. So my father is now 66, and he volunteered to guard there. You know what I mean? So people are really stepping up, and each one is doing the best that they can. And what I told you also about the preschool things, this amazing organization, they are filling the gap, not only in the preschools, in the pop-up preschools, but in all things that are necessary. Like you're saying, if there is an earthquake, one field is like education, but there are different things. So there is was established a main volunteer organization that what they are doing, they are filling the gaps in what field, in all fields needed, we will do it. This is and that's amazing.
It's like I'm thinking, how can I bring something like this to my own local town, just as a preparation, thinking, most communities are, luckily are not experiencing things like that. But sometimes we do. There's a big fire, and it can't be that every society is prepared for every scenario and have all of the equipment for everything. It's like the collaboration and what can we do and how we can utilize and shift people. I can tell you, I remember like when September 11 happened and some of the borders were closed and some airplane had to fly to remote like areas, and the local people, when there was no hotel, they took them to their home. So it's like people are in extreme situation, people are behaving, but I think to have this like mindset of what to do, how to do, to utilize group like this, I think it's very important. Raz, before we end, is there anything either you want me to ask you or anything that surprised you or inspired you that you want to share with us?
I am the truth is I'm surprised like every day by the amazing initiatives and the amazing work. I am involved also with a preschool, a big preschool chain in Israel, and all of the displaced families that they're telling them, I don't have money, they accept them without a tuition. So the heart of everybody is like making is becoming larger. And as you said, Rachel, and I think this is actually the right approach also, is I see myself, and I think a lot of more people are seeing themselves as accountable and responsible, and not thinking like, okay, there is a state, but the state is me also.
Yeah.
So if there is something missing, I need to go and do it. And I need to go and become involved and handle it in the preschool area, in the schools area, but in all other areas as well.
And again, I think this is something, if we can send a message to people, is don't wait for solution to come to you, but open your eyes and see what's needed. And I would say again, not just in time of a disaster. Look at your neighbors. You have an elderly neighbor, you have a neighbor with a young child, volunteer in your local school. Try to be more active citizen, and to really think about not what just the country is giving to you, but what you can bring, to the community, and it's going to make the community you live in more thriving and successful. So I hope that everyone, will take at least, be inspired by some of this work of these people, that despite this horrible, situation that they have to go through. And I know specifically when you spoke about the kibbutz Be'eri, they have to deal a lot with trauma and loss and constant loss, and they there's a long way for them to work and hopefully to heal as much as possible from that. So I hope that people will learn something from that and understand that. So Raz, I want to really thank you for taking the time and sharing with us, how preschool and young children and all these volunteers are impacted by the current war in Israel. 3 months into the war right now, and where we are now with thousands of people displaced in hotels and still can go to their home. But the important thing is to continue with education, to support the children, to help them grow even in this challenging and difficult time. And thank you for all of our followers who are here to join us. This is Education in Time of War. I'm Rachel Raz, and I invite you to look at some of the other interviews with many other topics and inspiring people. So thank you very much, Raz.
Thank you. It was a pleasure seeing you and speaking with you as always. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good day.